So next, let's talk about step two. And I think step two is probably one of the more important parts of developing content. And that's this idea of the outline. There's a couple different terms that people call the SEO kind of outline or brief, or however you want to call it. But essentially, you've got a title and a header outline. You're going to have the keywords and all the different terms or common words you'd want in the articles. All of that needs to get developed here. And so you could manually add in everything here. Or if you have some stuff you want to manually bring in, what I would do is run the tool and then delete the stuff you don't want and bring in your own, or edit what gets created. So there's a couple of ways to do it, but I would recommend running the tool and then deleting or updating after you get things in place. And so there's really not a lot of options to get things started. You need your information in step one to run step two, but once that's done and you're ready to go, you have your language setting, which you should have set in step one. If you need your supporting keywords to be in a different language, set that up. But I will iterate here that you need to have your language set up. We're on English, so we're going to leave it blank. You could, in theory, I think, use 100 different languages with OpenAI, though they do state they focus on 50 core languages, 50 of the most popular languages used. I do think the top 20 or 30 languages will have the best possible output. Then I think after that, things sort of degrade pretty rapidly. But anyways, if you're writing content for popular languages, this is going to work out just fine. I would just recommend that as you work in that language, start in that language for your keywords and then always stay within that language. Don't try to go from English or Japanese or Spanish, whatever the language that is your core language. Don't try to start there and then have it translate to something else. I think it's not going to be as good. So if you're going to maybe write in Spanish, your keywords need to be in Spanish. And then when you work your way from left to right through step 1 through 6, it's going to maintain Spanish across, and it will be much better that way. So for us, we're keeping it in English. What I would recommend here is setting this to true, F2 set to true. And just make sure that you move your cursor out of that so you're committing that text into that cell. So I would recommend when you're running the tool, highlight something up top, and you're freeing up the code and the tools here to do what they need to do. If you have your cell highlighted within the area that you're trying to work, it's not gonna happen because you've locked that cell. So highlight up top, and then that'll allow things to work more properly. But at this point, there's not much else to do here other than run this thing. So let's go ahead and over on the right, you have create blog data and you have stop. So if you start the tool, the automation, you can also stop it. So just know, like if you add a whole bunch of rows, like maybe you're doing like 50 articles and you try to start this and for some reason it's not actually starting. Like you see this screen right here, processing SEO data, it sits on waiting, and for some reason things just aren't happening. So that's okay. You would just click stop and it would cancel everything out, and then you could start again and it will pick up where it left off. But you can see here the automation went pretty smoothly. And if you have a whole bunch of rows, this will start grabbing chunks at a time, like running five at a time, and start processing all the data for you. So you can see it went pretty fast. So because we had this set to true, what happens is in column G, your header outline, we get these task tags auto added, and the AI is attempting to guide this section for you. But you can come through and edit this, right? So if you want it to be more specific, exploring the importance of mana curve and deck building, like that's a something specific, but maybe you could even get more specific with your own knowledge. Like you could say, talk about this thing, because if we do that particular thing, the benefit is this, and this happen. Try to include that. So, or you could say, mention this company name, or you could say, hey, here's a URL, add this URL, and you could physically paste in the URL. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do within the text tags, or sorry, the task tags here, and adjust the text. So all of this is here for you to come through and edit, or just leave it. But what I like about this is every section has got some guidance, right? Like you're guiding this section other than optimal card strategy. Like it just leaves it open to anything. But if you come through and edit and optimize this, or leave it like it is, at least have a better odds of the AI developing an article section how you imagine, right? And I think it's worth our time as the human to guide the assistant, right? AI is the assistant. So whether you have a VA assistant, or you've got assistant that you've hired, or a part-time employee, like you got to give them some guidance. And that's no difference with the AI, which is really just an assistant. You could allow the assistant to guess, and that's essentially what you'd be doing if you don't have these tags here. Or you can say, hey, these are the things I'm looking for, and I really need this for people to be interested in my articles. So that's there for you. So anyways, you've got a title created. This is going to be at the top of the article. You've got your main keywords. You can come through and edit those if you'd like. These are the common terms that need to be in the article. And you'll notice if you go to Google and you look at this particular keyword, you're going to notice that these are really common words that all of those articles use. Now, with BB Max, we're asking AI to predict this. But if you use a tool like Neuron Writer, it's going to go and analyze Google for you. Or if you use Surfer SEO or any of these other tools that do analysis of pages and content, it's going to bring in those terms. And so here's the cool thing is you can come in and edit all of this, right? Like if you go and look at Google and you look at these other tools, you could bring in terms into this section and it'll weave it into the article. And basically how this works is if I have 4 headers here, and including the title, that's 5 sections. So all of these words get divided by 5. And so the first few words will go into the first section of title 1. And then these next words here are going to go into the first subheader. And then this section here will go into the next one, and so on. So these are divided evenly across the article. And that means you have a more evenly spread of these words. You're not going to be stuffing and jamming the same words over and over. It's going to allow the article to score much better in any of these tools. And quite frankly, they should rank better. We do have a way that we go through and organize these keywords across the articles. But this flexibility allows you to come through and edit and optimize and bring in words from other tools and do some testing that way. And it will, again, spread that throughout the article for you and automate that, which is really nice because if you had to do that by hand, it's very, very tedious. So that's kind of it for this section. Now we get into the task tag for title and headers. So that's a pretty nice little feature here. So where you have F2 is where we can do that. So we erase the true, and then we use this to apply in bulk in several sections. So we could say, mention the company called Magic Me that sells custom MTG decks for players. And then we want to apply that to all of our H1 titles, because what we want to do is as someone clicks from Google and lands on our article, we want to mention the company name, what we do, what we specialize in to get their attention. and get the click, right? We want them to understand we're a company, we're trying to hook them up, and that allows them to know what the offer is early on versus trying to bury it in the article and hide it. Like, people just don't read that way. They'll scan through the article, but just give them what's obvious. So we have that here, this task tag. This is going to be added, this information will be covered by the AI early on. Now, let's say that you want to mix this company name in the article, so you can just delete a task tag. You still need the comma there, but wherever there is no tag, if you want to bulk apply this to headers, it'll just add a missing tag, right? And that's the easiest way to kind of bulk apply stuff. So headers task tag. So if I click this, it'll optimize and bring that in. So now we can see here, it did add in that same task tag here. Maybe I want to add some specific details about the card synergy. Right here, we have it added as well. So we do lose that one task tag, but we trade it for maybe you weaving in your company name, and you just got to go in and do some quick edits. So I'm not saying you have to do what we just did. I would probably leave the auto-generated task tags in place and maybe edit and add in some details. But if you're in a hurry and you just want to get things done and have it mention your company name in a particular section, like, you could do it this way too. So there is some flexibility with that, but that's it. That covers section 2. There's not a lot to it. I think the task tag is probably the most important thing in this, and that's to really help guide, when we write the article, and we get better output this way. And while there is a background in step 3, I think adding that information to every header and guiding this section is really important. And what I've been testing is, like, what can you request from the AI for that section that's going to hold that reader's attention? So maybe ask for a specific detail or something that the user can do, like educate the user, like think through like what you could ask of the AI to give a high value piece of information to the end user to get them to just read it for a moment. The longer you can get the reader just to stay for a second longer before they click your offer link, and do that early on, I think your stuff will rank better. We know for a fact that Google's monitoring user behavior, and if they come to your page and they scroll just a little bit and get a nugget of information, I think you'll do much better that way. So anyways, that is it for step 2. If you have any questions or comments, you need some help understanding this a little bit more, let me know. Feel free to post in the Facebook group, but that is step 2 of BB Max.